Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. These changes are quite interesting and I wanted to show you guys a clear and perfect picture of what they look like. I'll be picking out a few items to show you. I'm not going to be showing you everything. For those who have been talking about bugs, I would encourage you to read the patch notes. There are a lot of them that have been fixed, so that way when you want to talk about them, you can reference if they fixed them and they have not been fixed before going out to say, oh, this bug, is still in the game. Well, if they've not addressed it, then you should know that that bug is still in the game. Now, looking at numbers and looking at nerfs, I don't think everything is out the window. I think people may be overreacting about the M1A, the classic M1A nerf. This weapon was hitting in my former build about 500,000 for its damage after all my builds and gear and modding. Look at the other M1As now. They're now hitting basically around the same or higher than this particular one. The M1A CQB is close to it, but then they have a higher RPM, and the SOCOM M1A are now also higher. So these weapons might also be gaining some benefits to them that people will be looking for. Now, the perfect lucky shot is also very strong, so this weapon might still remain the preferred choice for a lot of other people. And then that brings it to where you have the Paratrooper SVD being a very strong item in the game too. Can you believe that the Baker's Dozen, a rifle, was hitting better than a marksman rifle, even though the marksman rifle had already received a stability nerf in the recent Warlords of New York? This weapon got a nerf, like you couldn't fire it just as you could in the former patches, and weapon handling was something you had to actually now sacrifice all your crit damage and stuff to use for this weapon. So I think compared to the other weapons, so you got to look at it in context. This nerf was justified. To say you're gonna buff all the others in this situation, it didn't really make any sense. That's my own opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. You can hit me up in the comment section. We can talk about it. The Bullet King did need a buff, and it did get a buff. Mine is now hitting at this. This is not the best one. I'll probably try to reconfigure for better stats. You never know. I got this on a challenging mission from Drigov Ma, and he dropped it for me. And it's now doing close damage to the Negev. This Negev is rolled well. Also has fast hands. And I just need to finish the damage targets out of cover, and it's basically a max roll. I know. But it does have swap speed, though. If it had reload speed, bruh, I probably would just do reload speed because it's just better that way. And, if you look at the damage difference, there's a 5% damage difference over my Bullet King. And that's where that number is different. But largely, they're pretty much going to be doing the same base damage, which is pretty darn good in my opinion. I felt like that needed to happen in my opinion. And then we're going to look at the Vivian Connolly holster, the Imperial Dynasty. I've seen a lot of people in PvP complain about this in the nicest way possible. If you're complaining about this holster, you're building in a lazy way, because I've also seen people in PvP tell me, hey, Mr. Gamer Dad guy, if you put hazard protection on your gear, you're gonna nullify the effect of this holster. And so there are two schools of thought within PvP, and I get my PvP information from PvP players because I don't PvP. So it's you guys that give me the scoop on the matter. And the reason I say lazy is because I had a discussion with someone and they said, well, no one runs hazard protection in PvP. I laughed. I said, really? Because from comments that I've seen, many people have told me that they run hazard protection and this holster is not a problem. Somebody runs up on them, tries to burn them, in an instant they can take that person down because they have hazard protection. Now, the thing is the sacrifice that it would entail for you to put hazard protection on your gear, because it is a slot that you could put critical hit damage on, but you now have to sacrifice. Now, another aspect to look at it, and why I'm defending this holster's buff, is because it takes a while to get this holster. Many people are still trying to get this holster, and even now that they've buffed it, there's more of an incentive to actually farm this particular holster right now. In fact, I made a video saying this holster was worth the grind. I had a whole bunch of people throw down on me. That video is aging well. Thank you so much, Massive, for proving me right inadvertently. I didn't know that was going to be right. That was kind of a fluke thing. So it's just one of those fun things that happened. Contractor's gloves, 8% damage to armor. It's received a 7% nerf. And I'll show you in context why this is actually okay. You guys might say, well, it seems really harsh. I don't think so. Fox Spear's knee pads, another 7% has been, shaved off. But then if you really are going to build a rifle or a marksman rifle build, where is the incentive to do that? Is it just in using a Sokolov glove, Petrov glove, or using, an Overlord knee pads? No. There are other items in the game that now seem to have some validity that can make a sniper build even better. I think, in my opinion, a sniper marksman rifle build should be top tier in all DPS, followed by rifle, and then anything else we can argue what needs to come over. It's just the way guns should work. You know what I mean? You know, so what we've gotten here is we've gotten a buff for the Punch Drunk mask, which is the DNH named mask, and it's getting a 20% headshot damage. Even though this weapon supports 20% pistol damage, you can already see two builds coming out of this. People who use shields can now run this for raw damage, and people who are running a marksman build can now add 20% headshot damage to their existing build. So if you want to go crit marksman build, you can use the Coyote's mask. If you want to go raw headshot damage build, if you're a good shot, there is now an incentive for you to gain more headshot damage, and you're not going to really worry much about the body shots. This is for the spam that thing, bam, 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 bam type of build. You know, I mean, can you imagine 30% damage to targets out of cover? Where is the skill that was required for that for a marksman? I mean, people talking about skill, skill, skill. If we really want to judge based on skill, this is how it needs to be, in my opinion. If you disagree, like I always say, let's talk about it in the comment section. I think it's worth the conversation. And so now you can now have yourself a very solid, you know, marksman rifle build, and you can have some really decent, you know, gunplay in the entire game. LMGs are still going to be good. They, you know, I mean, the Bullet King just got a buff, you know, and so with that buff, you already now have even more incentive to run your Contractor's Glove, or even still find a Contractor's Glove and a Bullet King. I know it sounds like I'm the only one talking about the positive outlook on this, but ladies and gentlemen, when you measure everything in context and see the way that it's possible now to use pristine example for a marksman rifle and a heavy 45% damage scope on your marksman rifles and on your rifles, you can now start to see how this is gonna be a perfect combination for people who truly want to run a marksman rifle build to gain the incentive of actually, you know, running that. Like, look at this. I can run this weapon with, look at 347,000 damage. I have lucky shots, and if I get a good one, I'm now able to do some massive hits, because that's what the marksman rifle build should be. If I go and get my Punch Drunk mask, I'm now a walking rifle machine, because there are so many disadvantages to running this, where, you know, you have to kind of stay in cover so you can be generating generating marksman rifle rounds using your sharpshooter specialization. So I think, you know, some of these things need to be looked at in, you know, in a whole wide conglomerate of everything, so that we can have a better understanding of what these nerfs and these buffs look like. The perfectly rooted talent, that's the one thing I have a problem with. They removed that, and if you notice, this thing, for you to get that weapon, you have to do the 4-phase field research all the way through phase 4. That's hours and hours of playtime for them to actually go ahead and nerf this. But we also have the named holster, which has now gotten, in my opinion, a better increase in the way it works. The ammo dump. This is supposed to have extra random bonuses. Let me go ahead and craft one for your benefit here, so that you can see what that looks like. And boom, it has an extra, it should have had anyways, an extra attribute. So instead of getting one core attribute and one minor attribute, this holster is gonna give you an extra one, because it is a Badger Tough. So for my you know, for my builds where I run Badger Tough and all that stuff, if you run Badger Tough, this is definitely something that I would recommend that, you know, you can take a look at. So these are the changes I wanted to show. For those of you who are still, you know, in the game, I would ask that you share your thoughts with me. This patch and these changes, were they necessary? Let me know. Do you think they were unnecessary? Let me know as well. Thank you so much for your time and audience, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.